2 girls are freed from the hellhole for almost 4 years. VIKTOR Mokhov's 2 teenager sex slaves were starved, beaten and raped in a squalid cell for almost 4 years. Mokhov lived in the Russian city of Skopin, about 90 kilometers from Ryazan. He was employed as a metal worker at the Skopin automobile assembly plant. Mokhov became known as the Skopin maniac for his horrific imprisonment and rape of Ekaterina Martinova, 14 years old, and Elena Samokhina, 17 years old. In 2000, he kidnapped the 2 as they were leaving a disco and offered them a ride. Seeing Mokhov's girlfriend, Yelena Badukina, was also in the car, the teenagers thought they'd be safe. They got in and Mokhov offered drinks, which they didn't know was mixed with sedatives. Soon they found themselves inside a dingy concrete bunker 7 meters underground, locked behind steel, bolted doors. The bunker was split into 3 sections, including a living space furnished with a bed and table, and a room with pornographic images plastered on the walls where Mokhov would rape the girls one at a time. Down in the dark, Mokhov subjected them to unimaginable suffering. When they resisted, he would punish the girls by starving them for days, hurting them with knives, or even spraying tear gas into the basement. He also threatened to turn off the electricity and ventilation system, so they couldn't breathe and were trapped in the freezing cold. Under the thick concrete walls, no one outside could hear cries for help. Mokhov would conversely reward them for compliance, bringing them books, music cassettes, and paints, the latter of which they used to daub a sun on the gray concrete of their cell. It's hard to realize that you are underground and do not know when this will all end. Therefore, at first we cried a lot and often, Martinova told. Over time, not that we got used to it and resigned ourselves, but understood that we must live. We began to draw up a daily routine, cooking, eating, watching TV. I was drawing, Lena was studying English. Samokhina also gave birth to 2 sons, delivered by Martinova in the dank dungeon. Mokhov knew the babies would die in the bunker, so he secretly abandoned them in places he knew they'd be found and taken to orphanages. Eventually, Mokhov became dissatisfied and wanted a new victim, a medical student who lived in his house. In 2003, he took Martinova to the bunker's upper room for fresh air, signaling a relaxation of security after keeping the girls in a 6-square-meter cell for years. He would also sometimes let her into the house to wash in a bath, as opposed to relying on the buckets of water he normally brought into the bunker. He ordered Martinova to pretend to be his niece in a bid to convince the lodger to stay. But instead, Martinova secreted a note inside a cassette tape, which she gave to the student to warn her of the mortal danger she was in. The student fled and contacted the police, who quickly found and freed the captives. Police filmed the moment they found the girls believed to have been dead for years. They did try to escape, but they failed and were scared he would beat them, so over time they became resigned to their fate. Major Igor Shelestyuk of the Russian Interior Ministry told the press shortly after their release. The girls almost got used to their conditions and just waited for the bitter end. They were convinced they would die in that lonely hell. At trial, it emerged that Mokhov had also been living with his mother in the home, who claimed to have no knowledge of the bunker, or the fact that 2 teenagers was enslaved. Mokhov was sentenced to 17 years in maximum security prison for his crimes, and his girlfriend Elena Badukina was sentenced to 5.5 years for helping kidnap the girls. Just 3 weeks on from his release, Russia was outraged by his lengthy interview with Ksenia Sobchak. Over the course of the program, which was published on Sobchak's YouTube channel, Mokhov tries to justify his crimes and gives the journalist a tour of the bunker as it is today. He also tells Sobchak that he considered himself a good man who slipped up a little. Mokhov's release has horrified Martinova and Samokhina, both of whom now have families, and they have condemned media outlets giving cash to their tormentor for interviews. What happened to me left a deep wound in my soul that will never heal, Samokhina told.